In the next 20 or so minutes, I'll be speaking to you about a couple of ayat from the surah we are celebrating together today, Surah Al-Insan. And I want to highlight just a few things that Allah has mentioned in this from an overview perspective. There are lots of places in the Quran where Allah talks about the people who will go to Jahannam and the people who will go to Jannah. And Allah describes the people of Jahannam in different ways. One of the most common ways Allah describes them is al-kafirun or al-kuffar, or alladhina kafaru, those who disbelieved. Or كذبوا بآيات الذين كذبوا بآيات الله, those who called the ayat of Allah a lie, those who believed that the revelations of God were not true. But Surah Al-Insan is taking a very different approach. It's not using the word believers. It's using the word al-abrar. It's using a different word, good people. It's using the word good people. And you have to appreciate what Allah is saying here. You have to think about when this surah came down. When this surah came down, it came down in Mecca, and the audience of this surah was actually majority non-Muslims. So non-Muslims were listening to this. And now this message is telling them not just that they should believe, but actually it's saying this place, this Jannah, is actually for good people. Instead of saying this place is for believers, like other places in the Quran. What Muslims learn from this is actually there's no difference. There's not supposed to be a difference between a believer and a good person. They're supposed to be one and the same. So a little bit, I want to tell you just a little bit about the word abrar and bir and what it refers to. The word bir in Arabic actually comes from the word bar, which means land. It actually means land. And it's an antonym, it's an opposite of bahr, which is ocean. So there's bar and there's bahr. They're two opposites, right? Land and sea. And the idea behind being on land, when people were at sea, they're always worried about drowning. They're always worried about sinking. I spoke to a sailor about this. Actually, I spoke to a general who used to be in the Navy. And I asked him, when I read the ayat of the ocean, I think about some things, but I've never traveled by sea. You know, the most I did was go across a river in a boat. But I haven't traveled by sea for months and months like sailors do. And he said, and I said, you've spent so much of your life out in the ocean. What do you hear when you hear the word of Allah talking about the ocean? And he says, let me tell you something. Every sailor that's out at sea, every time they look at the water, somewhere in their head they're thinking about their death. Somewhere in their head. Their death is staring at them. At any moment, this water will become angry. At any moment, a wave can come and tip this boat over. Doesn't matter how big it is. At any moment, the color of the sky can change. The clouds can show up. A storm can begin. It is the most unpredictable, situation in the life of a sailor. And when a storm is if it's good, they're thinking about when is the storm coming. And when the storm is coming, they're thinking, am I going to survive the storm? And when the storm is over, they're thinking, when is the next storm coming? We have to prepare for the next one. So they're constantly thinking about death. You know what that means? There's a lot of stress and anxiety in the ocean. And when they finally reach land, especially in the old days, when they finally reach land, they kiss the earth. They'll hug the earth. They'll lie down on the beach. And they'll just feel the sand in their hand. Like, this is so amazing. Why? Because now they are on stable ground. They've reached stability. From this came the idea of goodness. Meaning, you're a good person because your morals are not fluctuating. You're stable. And you're doing something that puts you on firm ground. So the people that are no good are all over the place. And they can go up and down, and they can sink at any time because they're out at sea, and the people of goodness have a level of stability and calm. They have a moral standard. This is really interesting in nowadays, the times we're living in. Because if you look at the last 30, 40 years, we don't even have to go that far back. We can go back 20 years. the world is impressed mostly with Western media. And in Western media, there was a definition of right and wrong and what is okay and what is not okay 20 years ago, even 25 years ago, and 30 years ago. And then 5 years after that, the definition changed a little bit. Then 5 years after that, it changed again, then again. So the conversation, for example, in the world that's happening about gender right now, that conversation did not exist 20 years ago. Completely different. So what people mean, even in the West, what people mean by social justice today is completely not what they meant by social justice 20 years ago. It has completely changed. So their definition of right and wrong is like being at sea. It goes this way, it goes that way, it goes this way, it goes that way. Al-Abrar people, their definition of right and wrong is stable. They understand that Allah has given them something within them that qualifies this is right and this is wrong. And Allah is appealing to humanity and saying, when you consider the word of Allah, there is something moral inside you and there's something in the word of Allah. They will connect with each other and you'll realize this is in fact the truth. This is the goodness that you feel inside you anyway. Instead of the Quran convincing you that killing is wrong and stealing is wrong and lying is wrong and zina is wrong, etc., 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 actually in one sense Allah's argument is you already know it's wrong. You already know. And the Quran is only confirming it. It's actually only confirming what human beings feel inside of them anyway. I was really interested in this question of goodness. Because different societies should have different definition of goodness. We're Muslim, so we have our own definition of what it means to be a good person. But a Christian might have a different definition. The Aborigines in Australia may have a different definition. The Hindus may have a different definition. The Buddhists may have a different definition. And though all of them have different belief systems, one of the most interesting things throughout history is nobody said killing is good. Nobody said stealing is good. Nobody said lying is good. Nobody said cruelty is good. Nobody said impatience is a good thing. Nobody said mocking someone else is a good thing. Nobody said arrogance is a good thing. Nobody said being ungrateful is a good thing. Their definition, across cultures and across religions, it seems, even though these cultures sometimes have nothing to do with each other, there are some basic values that they all somehow share. Where did that come from? The anthropologist will tell you, well, we developed these values over time, but if we developed them over time, then some societies should have different values that they developed over time. Some others should have different values that they developed over time. But at the core of humanity, there is a basic understanding of morality that everybody understands. Everybody. Allah put rahmah inside every human being. Doesn't matter if you're a Hindu or you're an atheist or you're a progressive or you're left wing or you're right wing. It doesn't matter. If you're walking down the street and you see a child got hurt, immediately nobody will look at that and say good. Nobody will look at that, and say that's great. I wish more of that would happen. Nope. Except in one country we know now. Right? But any decent human being will look at that and say, I should help that child. I should find out if they're okay. If you're walking in the mall doing your shopping and an old lady just fell down, you're not going to check their religion first. You're not going to check it. You're just going to help them because you're a human being. This is not even because you're Muslim. This is because you're a human being. Allah is first telling us in this surah, inviting humanity to go back to the goodness they already know inside of them. And the Quran is only confirming that goodness. That's the call to Al-Abrar. Now, let's take it a step further. There are two things I want you to be aware of. In these 8 minutes that I have, I just want to share this one piece with you. Terrifying, actually. There are two things in Islam. If I think of my obligations to Allah, it's just two things. I'm responsible for myself. And I have some responsibility to others. I'm responsible to earn halal, that's for myself. I'm responsible to pray, that's for myself. I'm responsible to be truthful, that's for myself. I'm responsible to be grateful, that's for myself. This is what at least there are obligations or responsibilities I have that apply to myself. But there's another part of my religion where I owe something not to myself but to others. There's others. And it's interesting that Allah uses the word yufuna bin nadhr. They fulfill the pledge. Describing good people, Allah says, I'll translate in simple English, they fulfill the pledge. What is the pledge? Without going into a deep dive. One meaning of the pledge is we made a pledge to Allah when Allah created us. Alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala. Am I not your Rabb? We all said, yes, we pledged to Allah that He's our Rabb. Which means we told Allah, we promise that we will take care of our responsibility. But I said there are two parts. There's the responsibility you owe to Allah for yourself, and there's another responsibility for others. Nadhr has another meaning. Nadhr means you came up with a promise, you came up with a commitment you made to Allah. Let me explain nadhr in easy words for you so you understand this concept. If a student, if I had a class and I had a student and I told them finish this homework, this homework, this homework, 3 assignments. He finishes all 3 assignments. But then my student comes to me and says, Ustad, I promise you, I'm going to do not 3 assignments, I'm going to do 5 assignments. I didn't ask. I only asked for how many? 3. When he's doing 3 assignments, he's doing ita'ah. He's obeying me. He's obeying me. But when he says, no, I promise you, I pledge to you, I commit to you, I will not do 3, I will do 5. That's nadhr. The nadhr didn't come from me. It came from the student. It was initiated by the student. They said, I'm going to do it. And if you understand that meaning in this ayah, one part of the nadhr is, we made a pledge to Allah that we will obey Him. But then we went out of our way. Some people went out of their way. They joined this ummah. And when they joined this ummah, they made a pledge to Allah that they will represent and they will bring goodness to the rest of humanity. It's not just about me. I'm going to help others too. I'm going to bring khair to the world too. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. We made an additional promise to Allah. Not just about... So now, if you understand that meaning, I've made a commitment to Allah that my life is not just about me. My life is not just about, I better make sure I eat halal chicken. My life is not just about, I better get married and not be in a haram relationship. My life is not just about my family, my needs, my requirements, my sharia, my fiqh. No. My life is also about what am I going to do for others. And that meaning is then reinforced in the next ayah. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. By the way, before we go to that ayah, just look at this ayah. يُوفُونَ بِالنَّذْرِ. They fulfill the pledge. Now they made a promise to Allah and now they're doing everything they can to fulfill that pledge. But can everybody fulfill that pledge the same way? If Allah gave you the ability to teach, then you can fulfill your pledge by teaching. If Allah gave you the ability to fulfill, Allah gave you a really good business mind, you're very good at building a business, then you will fulfill that pledge by creating halal businesses and halal work opportunities, and other people can earn legitimate rizq, and you can benefit your society and the economy and the society by creating more businesses. You're fulfilling the pledge. If somebody else is an amazing writer and they can contribute in the space of writing, if somebody's a filmmaker, if somebody is they're a doctor, whatever talent Allah has given you, you have to figure that out. Because according to the ayah, you made the pledge. You can't come to me anymore or anybody else and say, Ustad, I don't know what I'm good at. Please tell me. When people come and tell me that, Ustad, I don't know what to do with my life, I say, shame on you. Allah put a ruh in you that is so powerful that the angels were told to do sajda, and you say your ruh is so weak you don't know what to do. Why are you belittling? Why are you insulting what Allah gave you? You don't have the power to figure this out? Why are you acting helpless? Why are you acting weak? What Allah gave the human being is very, very powerful. It's not something small. It is not something small. It's so powerful that while every other creation of Allah just obeys Allah, this creation of Allah went and made a pledge to Allah that they want to do more. That's how powerful this thing is. So stop acting helpless. I don't know what to do. Maybe you're not being tough with yourself. Maybe you're not asking yourself that question. And whenever somebody does come to me, I'm nice, mostly. When somebody comes and asks me that question, what should I do? I say, I'm going to come back to Malaysia next year, inshallah, and I'm going to see you, and you're going to tell me how you answered that question yourself. If you have any respect for the work that I do, or I've benefited you in any way, then you will answer that question, and you will come and tell me how you answered that question yourself, and not from me, from you. Yufuna bin nadhr. But they're terrified also. This is the last thing I'll share with you. They're terrified also. You know the description of Jahannam and the Day of Judgment, there's many descriptions. You know what the description is in this surah? كَانَ شَرُّهُ مُسْتَطِيرًا. Its evil is mustatir. You know what mustatir means? Mustatir, the Arabs used to say istatara sayf. When the sword is inside the cover and they pull the sword out, that act is the pulling out of the sword from the cover. That's called istitara. Kana sharruhu mustatira means they are afraid of a day when the evil of that day is going to come out like the sword comes out of the shield, of the cover. Meaning it's already there, it's just waiting to come out. And now what is the connection between their pledge and the sword? The Day of Judgment. What's the connection? I made a promise to Allah, and the sword has already, every day that passes, the sword is coming out more and more and more and more and more, which is Judgment Day. I better hurry up and fulfill my pledge because I'm terrified there's a day coming where the Day of Judgment will be completely out. It'll be in front of me. So what do? This is the last thing I'll share with you. In the next ayah, you find that they fulfill their pledge by doing something for others. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. They feed others out of love of it or out of love of him. There's two meanings. They give others food even though they love food themselves. That's one meaning. So in other words, they don't just become consumers. Mine. Now they're like, I love this, but because I love this for someone else. I want others to have it because I like it so much. Their mindset changes. Their thinking, helping others actually makes them happy. Not shopping makes them happy. Shopping for others makes them happy. Not eating makes them happy. Like, I love this burger. This is my favorite burger. You know what يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ means? When you give someone else your favorite burger and you see the smile on it, now I'm happy. Because ala hubbihi, I love it, but now I want others to have what I love. And another meaning of that is out of their love of Allah. They just want to help because of the love of Allah. For the young people here, just understand, you might hear, we have to provide a service, we have to do something for the ummah, we have to do something for humanity. But nowadays, a lot of people that think they're doing something for humanity are still doing something for themselves. I want to create content for the ummah, but I just want to make sure my channel is growing and I find enough sponsors and fi sabilillah, and I want to make sure the right filters are on. Fi sabilillah, and I'm helping humanity with this filter. So you're telling yourself that you're doing this for others, but actually it's still an expression of love for yourself. I have to be careful of that. You have to be careful of that. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. Last thought of this, I know my time is now up, is that when I give, Allah says they give food. They give food. Don't think this ayah just means you go buy a sandwich and give somebody a sandwich. Don't think this ayah means they take some money and give somebody money and say, hey, get yourself some food. No, there's more meaning to this. The deeper meaning here is, if I went to a man who was hungry, I went to a woman who's starving, instead of giving them food, I taught them how to fix a car. I taught them how to build a wall. I taught them how to do some plumbing. I taught them how to develop an app. I taught them film production. I educated them so they can learn to make their own money, and then they can feed themselves, and they can also feed other people So I created an entire machinery out of يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامِ. They feed food, meaning a modern way of looking at this would be they create economic activity. They create economic activity. They create job opportunities. They create education that will lead to more productive sustainability. They lead to a better economic condition for the people. And as they do that, this is actually يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامِ. You know what that means? That those of you that are thinking about starting a business, right? If you're thinking like the American capitalist, you want to start a business and make as much profit as possible. If you're thinking يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامِ, you will make profit for yourself, but one of your main goals is you want your employees to have decent salaries, and you want them to have good housing, and you want them to have a good Islamic environment in your business, and you're actually feeding their bodies and their souls and their families and creating a sadaqah jariyah for yourself and them. يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. This is the nadhr we made with Allah. That not only will we be good to ourselves and be good ourselves, we're going to create good in the world that can keep producing more and more good. And you, each of you, myself, we have to think about what is it that we are going to give to the world that can create that good more and more and more. Instead of that good coming back to us, it's going out. And the more good that happens, the more we feel happy. The more we actually love it. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us people that live up to the spirit of these powerful ayat. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make the audience here especially, and those that are watching online, may Allah make this message something that allows you, Allah blesses you, to create a lot of good in this life for yourself and for others that benefits you in both worlds, this world and the akhirah.